YouTube, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today, guys, we'll be talking about the 7 decks that you can use for the Synchro Festival. So last 12, I think, we already tackled, or we already talked about the 5 decks that you can use for the Legend Anthology event. We're done with that one. We actually maxed out all of our rewards. Now, this coming Monday, we'll have the Synchro Festival. And with that, we have upcoming new rewards. We'll need to have a good deck to actually use for those grind. So I have 7 decks for you that you can try on during the event, and hope you enjoy this kind of decks. First deck that we're gonna talk about is Zombies. So this is the Zombie Chernoy deck that you can use, easy enough to actually use on. If ever you have Solitaire in the field, you can tribute this to Spell Summon Unizombie, and once Unizombie is on the field, you can just basically drop everything to the graveyard just to prompt its effect. Mizuki summons any zombie monster from your graveyard. If ever you send Necroworld Banshee also from the effect of Unizombie, you can get a hold of 1 copy of Zombie World. Having 2 copies of Doom King Ballardrock is quite necessary, because if ever Ballardrock is in the graveyard and your Zombie World is activated, you can spell summon Ballardrock on the next standby phase. You'll basically have 1 negate and 1 banish effect during that turn. It's really reliable, of course. That's basically it. Very straightforward for the deck. You'll go into a lot of synchro plays. Downside for this is you don't really have like a good end board that can negate. Yeah, you can still use the effect of evenly match. It's a basic wipe the field with if your opponent has evenly match. But even so, if you're really into the zombie deck, this is one of the decks that you can use for the event. So that's the first deck. Let's move towards the second one. Next deck that we're going to talk about is Virtual Worlds. So easy enough to actually use with this deck. So if, for example, if you have one of the copy of Lulu, so you target 1 monster, spell, or trap, you can discard the other one to the graveyard, and then another type of card you can add to your hand. That's Lulu for you. Downside for this, we only have to use 2 copies of Lulu for this event. But anyways, it's still reliable because we have Cyprian Gear Gamma. You can go for a level 8 monster, or you can add also the Psychic monsters, which is a tracker and the wielder that we'll be using later on for another archetype. But anywho, like I said, it's really straightforward for this deck. Basically, it revolves around Synchro 6, 9s, and hopefully level 12s, but we're not using level 12s here. I think we can go for level 12 Synchro here. Final Sigma is really good though. You know what? I'm gonna add Sigma here and remove possibly a copy of this and go for Final Sigma. So that's it. Basically good. Zolken is easy enough to actually summon to the field. Use the effect of Zolken, spell summon your Crystal Wing, basic negate on the board, and of course your other boss monster, which is Psychic and Punisher. With the help of your, if ever you summon a level 8 Axel Synchro, you go for a Stardust Dragon. Then if ever you have a level 3 turn on the board with your level 8, you can go for a Psychic and Punisher. The best part about this is once that is summoned in the field with the help of Axel Synchro, your monsters are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. So it's really good. It's basically a miscellaneous source drop to the field, or drop to the graveyard in a sense. So that's Virtual World for you. Let's move towards the third deck. Alright, third deck, we'll be talking about Goatees. So the best part about Goatees is the extra deck hasn't been changed. You're not working with level 4 or 5 XZ monsters. There are no link monsters for the Goatees. It's basically all synchros from here on out. Your monsters in your main deck hasn't been changed, hasn't been targeted for the ban list, so it's easy enough to actually use for the event. I'm not sure if you can use Shifter though. Yeah, it's banned. The Shifter is banned for the event, but even so, having to work with these cards alone gets you an advantage most of the time. If ever you're starting off with a combo on the Tuna Full Princess, you can summon this with you can tribute this, summon the Lifeless Leaf Fish, and then work your way with more synchro plays later on. So it's really good, especially the additional for the Deep Seeking Kolenkanth. I'm not sure how to pronounce that one. So once this card is on the field, you can discard 1 card, spell summon as many level 4 or lower fish monster as possible from the deck. So it's easy enough to actually summon more of your monsters to the field. So that's really good. The additional non-fish monster that you'll have is the Hop Your Squadron that you can use during your opponent's turn. Level 8 into a level 2 Hop Your Squadron, you can go for a level 10 Synchro monster. Basically, a Bear on the Floor is your go-to plan here for a negate, or an Omni-Negate, I mean, or go for a Shengying, just banish everything on the field or in the graveyard. So that's really good. The best part about goatees, it doesn't lock you into a fish monster or anything for that matter. So that's goatees for you. Let's move towards, what deck was it? Fourth? Third. So fourth deck, we'll be talking about punks. So about punks, nothing has changed for the punks. Only the extra deck monster for the Rising Carp has been forbidden for the event because it's not a synchro monster. But even so, having to rely mostly with your punk monsters in your main deck just to get an advantage. And the best part about this is with the addition of Psychic Tracker, you can go for more plays other than level 8s or level 6. Basically, it's easy enough to summon level 11 Amazing Dragon or a Psychic and Punisher with the punk. So that's one of the best things, or the best key things about this punk deck. Most of your cards here grants you an advantage, so it's easy enough to actually work on. And if ever you're favored with the punks, I think this is one of the best decks that you can actually use for the event. So hopefully I will see most of the players use punks here. But anywho, extra deck wise, since it's easy enough to actually summon a level 8 or level 9 monster in the field, which of course with your materials from the main deck, Zolkin is one of those cases there. Also, we added this one with our Virtual World deck. I think Zolkin is really OP here, just immediately summoning monster negation on the field. So that's your punk deck there, guys. Let's move towards the fifth deck, which is Sword Soul Teni. So I'm not sure if this is really the best synchro decks there is, because we have a couple of issues for the Sword Soul Teni. Muyi is only one copy, or limited to one for this event. Also, having to use the Teni Spirit, Vishuddha and Ashina, you can't go for Monk of the Tenis. So if ever you're gonna use the Vishuddha and the Ashina, there's no way to remove them from the field, and you can just synchro them off unless you don't have a good tuner on the field that really goes into another one. Other than go for Adhara though. Adhara in the field with the Ashina or Vishuddha, you can go for a level 8 play. But even so, it's really hard to actually get a worm monster that would benefit the deck for the Sword Soul Teni. What I'm thinking right off the bat is having the 3 copies of Incredible Ecclesia, or 1 copy of the Golden Sword Soul for attack negation, or even a copy of the Iris Sword Soul just for draw power, or spell summon 1 monster from your hand. Is either one of those. The questionable cards that I want to remove and I don't know what to replace is the 3 copies of Adhara, or the 1 copy of Satana and the 1 copy of Mapura. So it's either one of those. Other cards here is still really reliable for a good synchro play. But anywho, tell me in the comment section below if ever you want to change these 5 cards. If not, you can still work with this. I think I tried testing it out on a first starting hand. It is still good, by the way. But anywho, tell me your thoughts. Let's go towards the next deck, which is, so 6th deck that we're gonna talk about is Adamantimators. So nothing has changed with the Adamantimators other than a copy of Black Dragon. So Black Dragon has been banned for this event, but we have a replacement for Black Dragon, and that is the Gaia Plate, the Earth Giant. This is the weakest version of Black Dragon. I think one of my subscribers recommended this one a few events back. So this kind of works like a Black Dragon that you can summon to the field, that is a level 8 body, by just removing 2 rock monsters. And you can spell summon a number of this as long as you have materials to banish. The only downside for this is you can search out 3 rock monsters, and also it can't be spell summoned from the graveyard. So that's the 2 downside for having this in the deck, but easy enough to actually summon to the field. Alongside level 2 tuner, you can go for a Shengying or a Bear on the Floor. Also, there's an effect for half the attack and defense of a monster that battles with this card. So that's one thing there. But yeah, weaker version of Black Dragon. What else? Extra deck wise, we won't be using Gallant Granite because that's a rank monster. But even so, we're still reliable with most of the synchro plays here, and with the Adamant Spaders just excavating a ton of cards, it's going to be a ton of advantage from here on out. So it's easy enough to actually work. So that's Adamant Spaders for you guys. Let's move towards the final and last deck. So final and last deck, we'll have the Blackwings. So if ever you want to get a hold of this anime deck, it is available for you in the shop for 500 crystals. If you want to place it for each of the Blackwing cards, you'll basically waste 1,500 for those gems or crystals. But anywho, I do believe that this is one of the best synchro decks there is, that is from a structure deck. What else? Downside for this in the main deck is you'll be using only one copy of Black Whirlwind and one copy of Black Feather Whirlwind, but it's not really a problem. You can search out a Black Whirlwind with the help of your Simone. Your Black Whirlwind or Black Feather Whirlwind, you can search out from the copy of Shamal. So it's easy enough to actually acquire with these two monsters. That's basically it. Extra deck wise, your Blackwing Assault Dragon will be limited to 1. But even so, I think this is really OP if going to 3 copies, having your opponent not to play at all if ever they're a combo deck. So having this to 1 copy is somewhat refreshing if ever your opponent's using this. Other than that, it's still going to be a reliable, good deck to actually work on. The Blackwing Full Armor Master hasn't been targeted for badness, not even semi-limited. So having this tower in the field with 3k attack and 3k defense, which of course every activation will get them a wedge counter, and of course will destroy them if ever you prompt the effect. So that's a really good body on the field. And most of the time, your Blackwing monsters will go into a red hot Dragon Archfiend, which is a level 9 synchro, which is easy enough to actually acquire or summon to the field with, which of course with your Blackwing monsters. So that's easy enough to actually do. Blackwing fanatics, you can get a hold of this deck, like I said, in the store. But anyways, that's it for today. That's it for the deck profile for the 7 decks that you can use for the Synchro Festival. Hope you enjoyed this kind of content. Like and subscribe for more contents like this in the near future, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.